This is Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Money Moves, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Stormy Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you live as always in downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. And enough with the pleasantries today, okay? We got a lot of stuff to get to, so we're just going to jump right in and set the table for everything we have to come over the course of the next 2 hours. Hit us with the rundown.
It's time for the top headlines and topics of the day. This is the rundown.
Apologies for that. But I did want to get right into it because we have a stacked guest list coming up beginning in 15 minutes. Mike Palm is going to join the show. A few questions I want to ask him, not only about everything that's going on this weekend here on property, VP of Operations, by the way, at Circa Resort and Casino, as well as the Golden Gate and the D, big rugby weekend here in town. But with the NHL, it's a short slate today, just 4 games. But there's a lot of futures intrigue here in the final stretch of the season, so I've got some questions for him. We will also have VSiN's own Will Hilton join the program in half an hour. He's got some plays in college basketball, future in Major League Baseball, and your boy Zach Cohen as well, breaking down the NBA card.
It's offensive to Zach because I would assume that he is your boy as well, considering he's one of our colleagues and our main NBA writer and does a lot of tremendous work up on the website at VSiN.com, as well as all of the guides too. But since he's only my boy, yes, I'm very much looking forward to talking to Zach, and I have some NBA questions about the weekend and coming.
Listen, I'm not in group chats with Zach the way you are. I'm not invited on Hardwood Handicappers every week like you are. I think it's fair to say that he's more of your boy.
Okay, here's my question. Would you, if Zach said, Stormy, I'd love to have you on a weekly hit at 6 a.m. to record this podcast?
I would think it over.
Yeah, exactly.
But it is a short slate as well in the NBA, but I know Zach's already locked and loaded with some props for tonight, so excited to have that conversation with you as well. We're going to get into another awards wrinkle, and we've got some updates, but more of that in a moment. We're also going to puck around and find out today. A lot of cheap money line prices today, lots of coin flip games, a few totals I like, and one trend I'm going to go back to the well on tonight in the NHL that cashed yesterday, albeit in extremely favorable fashion. Minnesota Wild, I'm looking at you, so that'll be a fun conversation. But let's get things started in the NBA. Thank you very much. You, as you wrote in the rundown, a tanktastic night in the association yesterday. Cash that money line parlay that you gave out with all of the just fading the tanking teams being profitable yet again last night.
With the Pelicans. By the way, I had a comment on the hockey, but I guess we're just going to move on.
Oh, you do? Go for it. What would you like to say?
Buffalo and Florida. It's a big game today. I'm very much looking forward to what the Sabres have in store, as I have deemed one of the hottest teams in the NHL going into the break and potentially a threat in the Eastern Conference. Anyway.
I did bet the Sabres today.
Hell yeah. Maybe that's why I brought it up, because I read the rundown.
I think you did that.
Very much looking to the tank palooza, I guess, that is going on, as Gil has called it in years past here at the Vegas Stats and Information Network, and it seems to be on in a very big way. You said it. If you put the opponents of the tanking teams together, we had the 4-leg parlay that got there for you yesterday at a decent little plus price, plus 127 or so, depending on where you shop for your prices. And yes, the Pelicans are not a tanking team. And it's funny. So I put this in the rundown. I wanted to, because, you go back, you ever have arguments with people, and then you leave, and you're just like, I should have said that.
Every single time.
Yeah, every day after work, right?
Yep.
You think about that with me. So I was thinking about it more and more. Something I missed that is a very obvious reason why you are a fool. No, I'm just playing. But why the Pelicans actually really worked yesterday. We mentioned it, but I didn't tie it together. The Pelicans played the Jazz yesterday. Mm-hmm. The Jazz are behind the Hawks in the draft order right now. Hawks are in control of the 5th pick, we'll call it. Again, there's a draft lottery to be had. The Jazz are 6th. So what does that have to do with the Pelicans? Well, the Hawks are there because that's the Pelicans' pick. The Jazz would love to lose to the New Orleans Pelicans, because if they do, that's a head-to-head that they're going to go in their favor. We should have brought that up as well. Jazz are more than happy to take that one on the chin yesterday. So 129 to 118, Pelicans get it done. And I do want to zoom out here a little bit on the Pelicans and just say, I don't know if they're going to be a pure play-on team as we head into the postseason, but I will reiterate, as we talked about yesterday, the Pelicans have every motivation, I guess you can call it, to consistently perform well in these games. And I would treat them as such as you move forward. That's all.
Meanwhile, while my parlay wasn't an official play, it was just something that I did for fun. Got 3 of the 4 legs. Guess which one didn't get there? It was the Mavericks that you warned me about, albeit it was already in pocket at this point anyway, so there's nothing I could do. But they lose to the Kings as a 6.5 point favorite by 9, so kill me. That said, among the other tanking results, the Charlotte Hornets are now just 1 win away from cashing Kelly Bidlin's alt 30-plus wins on the season. They're at 29 now, 12-3 their last 15 games. And Con Knippel ends up breaking the rookie three-point record last night. He goes 8 of 12 from range, 28 total points on the night. Needed 207 for the record. He's got 209 now in just 59 games to his name.
Yes, he has been absolutely fantastic. And look, I think we talked about Rookie of the Year quite a bit. There's got to be a way that he is going to make his way into this conversation in a realistic fashion. Where is it at right now?
So Cooper Flagg now minus 175, Knipple plus 115.
That's pretty, yeah. I mean, it's got to, you have to, realistically, if you're looking at it.
Cooper Flagg was just $3,
yeah.
So that's why I bring it up.
But as we talked about yesterday, again, there's no 65-game minimum, but just the fact that he's stacking up data points while Cooper Flagg is not, that has to matter a little bit more for these voters. And then again, you factor in they clinch a play-in spot, or they do, that should be something that does matter over individual statistics on a team that is just losing and not playing well. And again, the Mavericks might shut him down. We don't know that. I'm not speculating. There's not reporting, obviously. I don't know anybody. But if you just read the signs, understand that you're near the end of the year, understand that you could increase your odds for a top pick in a loaded draft, to, again, build around Cooper Flagg. I mean, it would benefit Flagg. That's part of the conversation. You're pulling him in the office going, dude, look, I know you're a competitor, but we can get you A.J. Debonsa. We can get you Darren Peterson.
Yeah.
We can get you one of these guys to help build around you. That is going to be something that's part of the conversation that I think is more realistic. And if that's the case, if Cooper Flagg has 10 games left in the season, how much is that going to make a difference for a guy who like Kon Knipple, who's constantly playing? And we'll go back again. I mentioned it the other day when we talked about it, going back to my piece in the NBA Guide. Since the last 25 years, only twice has a guy played fewer than 72 games and won Rookie of the Year.
Also for the Hornets, I think the prices we got were 4-1 for the play-in, 12-1 for the playoffs when we talked about this previously. Charlotte, as of today, a minus 120 odds-on number to make the postseason. They're still in the play-in spot right now, but just worth noting how much that has changed with the success they've had down the stretch.
And last note on this, because it does still tie into the tanking teams. Not only did they all lose, they all failed to cover, and they lost by average of about 20.2 points yesterday. So it was a couple of them are a little bit more plucky, obviously on the back end. Jazz kind of came back a little bit in a fake comeback, only lost by 11 or 12. Same thing with the Brooklyn Nets, but they were down by about 12 the whole time. But on average, these teams were losing by like 20 points. So we had discussed, hey, ATS, do you want to lay some of these big numbers? Yesterday, you could have. You put the money line parlay together, and you could have put them all together on a spread. Bet against them individually on the spread. You would have came out clean.
Okay, now let's talk through what happened to the Lakers last night. They were down as many as 12 against the shorthanded Suns, end up coming all the way back, but still can't get it done. I say shorthanded. It was no Devin Booker, no Brooks, no problem. Apparently, Royce O'Neal ends up hitting the three for now what is back-to-back clutch time losses for the Lakers after what we just saw happen to them against the Magic. Here is their head coach, J.J. Redick, after the game about what's going on with them right now.
I would say this, we talk about this as staff, like our losses are louder than other teams because we're the Lakers and because of the way we lose, you get this deep in the season. And again, tonight was a one possession clutch game, which, now we've, lost a few of those. But we've been great for the most part in the clutch all year. Our losses are louder. I would say, so we had some adversity tonight. Did we not respond?
Night issue.
Yeah, no, I thought our guys were great with that tonight. I mean, there's basketball's a game of mistakes, and we made mistakes. Just like I make mistakes. I don't think Jordan Ott coached a perfect game. I don't think their players, Grayson Allen kicked our butt. He was 9 for 24. Like that's the game, and so I think our guys responded tonight.
So real quickly, JVT, the first part of that, I do want to say, J.J. Redick is not wrong. 16-5 overall in the clutch, best in the NBA. They were 26-0 when tied or leaving in the third quarter prior to that Magic game, but now back-to-back clutch games in which they have faltered. Is this something you think is going to be a trend moving forward, and what have you seen about the Lakers lately?
Yeah, I mean, it's a trend only because they were running so hot in clutch games. Remember, they started undefeated in clutch games. I think it was 11-0 in terms of games that went to clutch. And again, for audience, one more time, clutch games are games within 5 points, 5 or fewer minutes left to go. That is an NBA statistic. So in those games, they had performed unreasonably well. You can't just win those coin flips every single time. So they're falling fallen back down to earth. You mentioned the last two. He did as well. In February, they're 2-3 in clutch games. They have a defensive rating of 141.2 in those 5 contests in clutch time. That's abysmal. Can't give up 1.4 points per possession when you're trying to win a game within 5 points. So that's going to be a problem for them. But look, this team is now 1-6 against the spread in their last 7 games. They're just a game out of the play-in tournament right now, which I expect that's where they're going to ultimately fall, depending on what happens with Phoenix, although they just lost this game. They've just got some issues, man. And then, by the way, after we get the report about DeAndre Ayton's super juice, he comes out yesterday, 2 points, 4 rebounds, takes 3 shot attempts, hits just one of them, and is a minus 24. He was awful.
Maybe it wasn't crunk juice, it was clunk juice. It was so bad.
You working on that one?
I actually didn't. I'm really proud of myself. I just came up with that.
That was very good.
Thank you.
He's also, because he had the comment, I think we mentioned this on the air, that he was walking to the locker room, and Dave McMenamin heard him the other day say, they're trying to make me Clint Capella, where Clint Capella responded on social media and essentially said, yeah, you probably should be, dude. Like, he's been awful. So this whole thing, I don't want to say it's falling apart, but the Lakers are becoming, you've been with me this whole ride. We've kind of hit on this throughout the entire season. They were never really as good as their record started out, and we're starting to see the true form of what this Lakers team is.
They are the only team in the NBA in the top 8 of their respective conference with a negative point differential, also negative net rating. They're 24th in defensive rating. We know the issues that they've had on that end of the court, and it's just adding up here. Something Joe Fortenbaugh brought up, and I'm curious if you think this could be worth a play. 10-1 to miss the playoffs.
Sure.
If they are in a situation where they're in the play-in, and who knows what could happen with that, but is 10-1 enough bang for your buck for that?
I think my problem would be is that the play-in does look relatively weak. So let's say if they get in, I think realistically it would be them, the Warriors, the Trailblazers, and the Clippers. I think more than likely it would be Clippers and Lakers that still come out of that, but I think it's still worth it. And as we talked about, I have a 2-1 to be in the play-in, and I think that's a better way to do it.
Okay, we're just getting started here on Money Moves. More NBA a little bit later on in the program, but when we return, excited to have VSiN's own and VP of Operations here at Circa Resort Casino, Mike Palm, in studio. Don't miss it.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools. But what they don't want you to know is that you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. VSiN Pro gives you access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Just tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Friday edition of Money Moves, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Stormy Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you. Excited, as always, as we do on a Friday, to have the one and only Mike Palm in studio with us, VP of Operations here at Circa, Golden Gate, and the D. And I want to give you props right off the top here because you did a long spot on Follow the Money earlier this week, coming out of the Olympic break, talked a lot of hockey, and one thing that you were targeting was a lot of these Russian players that didn't play in the Olympics coming out hot. I feel like all your props that day hit.
7 of 8.
Crushed
and
it.
I don't play props, right, John?
You don't?
You know that. But I was theorizing that these Russians who were fresh and who also had in their mind that they would have been the Olympic champ. They're still Russia's ranked number 1 by the International Ice Hockey Federation. They would have been the favorites in Milan and had something to prove. So for the skaters over their points, for the goalies over their saves, which is not the pure way of betting it, but 7 of 8. Only Ovechkin didn't go over on Wednesday night.
But also, are you saying that so Team USA finally wins Olympic gold for the first time since 1980 and it gets an asterisk because the Russians weren't in it of all teams?
Nobody will remember that.
No, I know, but still.
The Russians might remember.
Just coincidental.
But history will not put any asterisks there, Stormy.
I don't think my mic's on, so I think you should go.
Oh, no, sorry. Okay, JVT's microphone's having some technical issues here, guys, if we can try to get that hooked up.
Maybe
I do want to.
There we go. There we go. They do it. Maybe they don't
They're not used to needing 3 mics on a Friday.
I was going to say that.
She's usually not here.
Oh, come on now. I was about to say the segment was going to be so much better.
That's funny. All right, let me ask you this. Are we done with the ramifications from the Olympics in terms of these games going off? Is there still any trickle-down effect of rest, anything like that?
Well, tonight, I would be on the Mammoth tonight. I mean, Minnesota has said they were going to go all in on this first game, catching Colorado on the back-to-back, and obviously chasing them in the standings for the Central Division and the President's Cup. A lot of wild Olympians are going to get this optional back-to-back off tonight. So this might be the spot to come back with Utah here. By the way, Stormy, did you watch that game last night in Denver?
Yeah.
That was a playoff game. I'm telling you, I watched every second of it. It was awesome.
That was the luckiest over I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
Unbelievable how it closed out.
Well, there was a lot of 5-on-3 time, too. There could have been scoring spurts in that game. Gustafson played great. He vomited into the crease in the third period, but he was great. So I don't know what Kemper's excuse was in L.A., and I'm not sure Jim Hiller's going to have a job come Monday either.
Oh, really? So, okay.
This team is quit.
Back-to-back embarrassing losses for them.
Against, they get beat as a $1.70 favorite by the Henderson Silver Knights. And then last night, a total no-show against the Oilers.
Yeah.
I'm watching him puke, by the way.
Well, and I was telling JVT before the show. So he throws up in the crease, comes out. Wallstead comes in, gives up a goal after like 7 seconds, and so that helped get us the over as well. Like all of that, and then that empty net goal to close it up. Yes, of course.
Okay,
they waited for the Zamboni, so they had to finish the period.
Did you think someone was going to run out like an old elementary school and put sawdust on it or something?
Shovel. The girls with the shovels that come out on the TV breaks.
I would assume it freezes real quick, right? So you're just probably scraping it off and moving from there. All right, well, okay. Let me ask you, because one of the games tonight that I have some interest in, the team that has caught my eye in hockey has been Buffalo. Am I wrong in buying in on this team?
No.
Offensively, they seem really good, and the goaltending seems good enough.
Luukkonen is good enough.
Yeah, right?
Luukkonen is good enough. He's in a spot where, there's not a lot of pressure. They haven't made the playoffs. I think the skaters are really good. This Tage Thompson is an animal. You saw them win 10 in a row earlier in the year. And now Florida off the back-to-back tonight. I think it's a nice spot here for Buffalo.
Yeah, I ended up betting the Sabres today, too. Do you have anything else tonight?
No, I don't. Stormy, do you think Edmonton will end up making a move for a goaltender before?
They have to.
Okay,
Sorry.
Who do you think will that goaltender will be?
I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of people that would like it to be a certain goaltender that just played in the Olympics. No?
I think the one people are not talking about is Bobrovsky, who won last night for Florida.
Yeah, Binnington's been getting all of the talk.
All the talk is Binnington. But what about Bob? His contract ends at the end of this season. He thinks Florida's going to sign him to another big deal. I don't think so.
He hasn't been very good this year.
I think Florida would rather have held on to Spencer Knight if they had it to do all over again. No, he's ranked last.
Yeah.
His stats are actually ranked below Binnington in the NHL regular season. I think Bobrovsky is flying under the radar as a move Edmonton might make. But as you said, they must.
Yeah, only a few more days left. March 6th, ultimately the trade deadline. So we'll see if they make another move. Go ahead.
Follow up really quick. Would that be enough for you to look at them?
No.
Because they obviously have the offensive talent. We watched them blow the game the other night. Was it the Kings?
Mm-hmm.
No, I listen to the Canadian media. McDavid's a loser. They're not going to win. How about they're crucifying Matthews? He chose politics over the Maple Leafs. They want him out. Ask Mitch Marner. He wanted the hell out of Toronto.
Well, you want to see
Mitch Marner could be sitting there right now. Nobody would know.
You want to see the polar difference between Toronto media and Vegas media is the article that we just saw come out about Austin Matthews, with him, by the way, playing that first game out of the break, not missing any time. Vegas, meanwhile, Jack Eichel and Noah Hannafin were on live television on SportsCenter with Scott Van Pelt during the Vegas first game back. And nobody said a word. Nobody cared. That's how different it is. It's crazy.
Well, we also won gold, right? Mm-hmm. It might have been a little bit different if they had won.
But and that's something that.
What if they had gone? What if the Premier of Canada had something for the team and they missed the first game? Would they have said?
Something tells me they'd be all right with it.
Yeah, I think they would be all right.
Yeah.
We cannot, as Americans, understand how upset they are, though.
Oh no!
Right?
Not at all.
We cannot understand, and now they have to wait 4 years.
Yes.
Right? They have to wait 4 years for a shot at redemption, and by the way, maybe Russia's in it at that point too. So
maybe there's extra hostility too, since Canada hasn't won a cup in so long as well. Just add it all in.
What do they want? We've given them at par. Yep. What more can we do for them?
we talked about it yesterday. There's also some it's just. You give Canada the spotlight for a little bit, they fail, and it's just all melting down. They can't handle it.
It's just crumbling.
Absolutely not.
Stormy, can I pivot this a little bit?
Sure.
I know it's your show, and we go through what you want to talk about each week. But, Jonathan, is there...
This is so offensive. I texted you this morning, what do you want to talk about? Dealer's choice, he says.
Is there a better bet in sports right now than to fade the Chicago Bulls? They're 1-12 in their last 13 against. You can't make the number big enough. You know that the average they've missed in those 12 losses is almost 11 points.
Yeah.
They're not covered. They're not covering the number. They're missing it by 11 a game over this 12 out of 13 stretch.
It's been impressive to watch, and it actually ties into some of these. We talked about it at the open of the show. These tanking teams in general. So yesterday, we'll quantify them as the tanking teams. They go 0-4 straight up. They go 0-4 against the spread. They lose on average by 20.2 points. Like these teams outside of Chicago, they are outright, and I think part of it is it's odd enough. I think Adam Silver's outright antagonizing of these tanking teams has caused them to do it more because this is like, this might be the last year we actually have a chance of doing this. So all of these guys, elective procedures, go and get them done. Let's get this done. Let's put our worst lineups out there. This might be our last crack, and ironically enough, in one of the best drafts we've seen in a while, to be able to get something done.
But this is not an indictment of the players.
No.
This is an indictment of the organizations,
Yes.
right? Well, how would you solve it? There's a lot of different theories out there.
The idea that I like the most is once you get, and I don't know what the date would be, but once you get to a certain date, wins start to count toward your draft lottery status. So, in other words, you would have to win games in order to improve your status to get to the top overall pick, as opposed to lose games. That seems to be one of the best, I think, ideas. Because I don't think you can get rid of the draft. Because a lot of people keep saying that. All these free agent kids, you think AJ Debonsa is going to go, you know what, I want to play with the Utah Jazz. No, they're going to go other places.
What if the 16 teams that made the bracket itself, they go in order based on the winner, the second, and all this. But the other teams that don't make it, they all get one ball in a drawing. And that's the order. You don't get any more balls for finishing last than you do for being in the play-in and getting knocked out.
I think that would be part of it. The other theory that has been thrown out there is, depending on how often you're up there at the top of the lottery, so for every year, I think it would be if you're in like the top 4 or the top 10, you get a ping pong ball removed. So then, you can't, the realistic chance that you would not be able to finish at the top is there too. Something I think does need to be done to an extent, but I like the wins thing a little bit more because the tournament stuff's stupid. I mean, we've talked about this. Why would I be motivated as a player to win a tournament that would then maybe get my replacement in the building? Why would I care about that?
100%. My question, before we get out of here, we've only got about 90 seconds, but with the NBA awards and the limit of games that you have to have played, like that
is it
threshold
65?
that's been instituted.
What is it? 65?
Do you like it, or is it something that is frustrating now a little bit as better? Like, when you look at who's going to win this year, if Shea doesn't meet the threshold or whatever, are we still going to look back and say, well, he was the best player this season, but he didn't win by default?
I think that you almost have to do it, though. They're trying. He's doing everything he can to try to encourage people to play. And that's one of the things is setting this baseline to win an award, which all these people have big contract bonuses for winning these awards, right? Yep. So they're motivated to play. Adam Silver right now needs to focus on labor negotiations on the women's side. That's the biggest thing. But seriously, how can they blow this now?
That's exactly what
Are we going to get NWSL every Sunday night on ESPN? That's the replacement? At least you were going to rotate Caitlin and Trinity every other Sunday, right? I'm sure that's the schedule.
But, they finally got traction. They finally get all of the eyeballs, and now are we going to get it?
I think they settled the house. It's ridiculous. If they tell them we're going to give you 5X, not enough. We want what the men make.
I'm seeing a lot of that. What's the other basketball league that Collier's running?
Unrivaled.
I'm seeing a lot of those.
They had that
highlights.
one-on-one tournament. Chelsea Gray was a beast. I couldn't believe how good she was in that one-on-one tournament.
I don't want to ask out of turn, but what are the ratings for that?
Don't ask a question you don't know the answer to.
Shouldn't that be all the questions that you ask? Wouldn't you like to get genuine answers? On that note, appreciate you, Mike. As always, we'll see you back here next Friday.
Are you still here, or have you gone to Italy or wherever?
Here.
Oh, all right.
Japan in 2 weeks.
Are you waiting for the tip-off of March Madness?
Come on.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This segment of Money Moves sponsored by Upside. Download the free Upside app and earn real cash back every time you fill up your gas tank. Promo code SPORTS right now will also get you 25 cents back per gallon on your first tank as we welcome you back to the program. VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Jordan Bonatoni, Jonathan Von Tobel with you. Excited to have our good buddy Will Hill join us here on the Progressive Guest Line, host of the Shoulda Bet More podcast, VSiN analyst, host, doing all the things, writer as well, Fox Sports. What's going on, Will? How are you today? Happy Friday.
What's going on? Happy Friday, and just a couple more days until March. Get rid of February. Enough with the snow. Give me these conference tournaments. Give me some warmer weather. Let's go. Let's do this.
I don't know about you, Stormy. I have not seen a single flake of snow, so I don't know what that's all about here.
The shake of the
Not
head.
cool. Not cool.
The
Some
shake of the
things are
head.
just you don't joke about. It's not cool.
Well, let's get into some of the action today because you have a couple of top 25 games in college basketball, one of which I know you are involved in, kind of the game of the day. Number 3, Michigan at number 10, Illinois. So top 10 game in the Big Ten. Short spread as well. Michigan laying about 1.5 right now with a chance to clinch the conference title outright. How do you think things play out?
Yeah, and Michigan looking to beat Illinois for the first time in 9 games, I guess 10 games, because it's a 9-game winning streak here for the Illini. I like Illinois. If you look at the 3 Illinois losses in February, all of them in overtime, coin flip games. Even if Illinois goes like 2-1 of those, maybe Illinois is favored in this matchup. And I just think from a matchup standpoint, they have the skill, Illinois does, to pull Michigan's great bigs away from the rim. They play 5 out. They've got 5 guys that have shot over 100 threes. Boswell's close too. So they got all their guys that touch the ball, that take the court, can shoot it. I think that'll be trouble for Michigan. I would lean towards an over too. Usually with these high totals, you know, the over is the way to go. I was thinking like Alabama, Arkansas a couple weeks ago where you looked at it, it's like, wow, 164.5. That's really high. It's not high enough. I think the winner is in the 80s. Wouldn't be surprised if the winner touches 90 here. I think you're going to get a lot of points. I think you're going to get, some great runs by both teams. I think this will be a fun game, but I do think Illinois ultimately wins the game here. Number 1 offense in KenPom. Michigan, a lot with them. Are they shooting the 3 well? And that's, you could say that about a lot of these teams. They had that little funk earlier in the season, a few weeks back, where they weren't shooting the 3 well. We'll see how they shoot it on the road. But I do think Illinois here, a very dangerous team come tournament time. I'm kind of back and forth, and I'm curious what you guys think. Can they win the title? Can they not? I don't know if they defend well enough, but I do think they get one in the win column here tonight.
I would say to answer that question, I think that they're dangerous to make a pretty deep run in the NCAA tournament. I mean, when you play offense the way that they do, I think there's going to be something to that. I guess my worry would be, because I actually think they're good enough defensively. They're top 30, so they don't fit that archetype that we usually look at. Such a high rate of three-point shooting that always makes me nervous when you're talking about going from neutral site to neutral site. Like, can you string 6 games together when you're taking over 50% of your shots from 3?
Yeah, totally reasonable. And I would I'm kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I just feel like kind of what you said, where they've got one bad game shooting wise in them, and can they recover from that? And they've just, I know all of these losses have been in overtime, but those are some concerning losses at home to Wisconsin. You're up double digits pretty late in the game, lose that huge lead against UCLA, blow that. But I do think they are a good bet here tonight, getting the point or 2.
Yeah, still the most efficient offense in the country that we've seen all year long. Let's look ahead to tomorrow as well, because we've got a loaded Saturday college basketball slate as usual, and St. John's back in action following what was a really embarrassing performance against UConn. Pitino was even saying, like, this is one of the worst losses of my entire career. How do they respond, you think, coming up this weekend against a Villanova squad that they are better than?
Yeah, and no press conference for Pitino. I guess this is a thing with him where when he loses, the press conference doesn't take place. Now, he did take, ownership, accountability, all that stuff, but kind of a bad look by Pitino. But I do think his team responds with how much of a motivator he is. I think his team will come out and play a lot better here. So I will lay the 5.5 with St. John's just based on the spot here. I think the 5.5 is cheap. I think that number will tick up. I wouldn't be surprised if this closes. Well, I think it goes up a point. Does it get to like the 7.5? That might be a touch high, but I'll say 6.5, and I wouldn't be shocked if this closes 7. So I think if you like St. John's to lay it now, I think it's a good spot for them to bounce back and win by double digits.
All right, let's go to the SEC, where the flavor of the month has been the Florida Gators from a future standpoint. Sounds like everybody and their mother's adding them to the portfolio. They're a big favorite here against Arkansas. 9.5 across the board, 10.5 at DraftKings. What are we doing?
Taking Arkansas, I don't like the idea of walking into the Hornets' nest, and you said it. You ask anyone, hey, what's the best value right now to win it all? It seems like half the people will give you Florida as an answer, which I understand. Their size is incredible. They have a championship coach from last year. They check a lot of boxes, and they're starting to shoot the 3. So I think if you're making the case for Arkansas, you're selling high here with Florida. 9.5 is a lot of points, and it's a reason why I liked Texas the other night, and Texas did not ultimately get home despite the fact that they were getting 7.5 and led by 3 with like 6 minutes and change left. A 21-3 run by Florida ended the game and ended up covering it for Florida. I think Arkansas has the size here to hang and at least make Florida become three-point shooters, become jump shooters, and not get killed with second chance opportunities. So I think from a size athleticism standpoint, Arkansas can hang. I think you're paying a little bit of a tax with how hot Florida has been. So I just think the 9.5 is a touch high. The question with Florida, and this is why people have really started to fall in love with them, they were not a good three-point shooting team at all for most of the year. And the last handful of weeks here, they are really shooting it well. Shot it 46% from three the other night against Texas. They've become a good three-point shooting team. Is that small sample size? Is that new lineups, new tweaks? Are they just getting hot at the right time? I'm not sure what the answer is, but my guess is the bigger sample size is the more reflective sample size, and eventually they'll cool off a little bit. And if they're not shooting the three well and they do start to cool off, the 9.5 tomorrow with Arkansas is a good play, I think.
To Will's point, Stormy, since February 11th, these are the games individually from a three-point percentage standpoint for Florida. 38.5, 35.7, 26.3, 50, and 44.4.
Okay. VSiN's Will Hill joining us here on the Progressive Guest Line. Will, now's the time of year as well with spring training underway that we're starting to little by little dive into what we can expect for the Major League Baseball season. There is a future you have added this week. What is it and why?
The Washington Nationals to have the worst record, plus 750. Shop around, you find some variance with these markets. I actually think the Rockies are going to be better is a funny word because it would hard to be worse than what they were last year with 43 wins and a minus 424 run differential, 50 games out of first. You could just keep going. Historically bad team. But they had Jose Quintana, Michael Lorenzen. Sagana was okay, even though his surface stuff last year was shaky, and he might get he might be in for a rough time, of course, with some of his underlying stuff and his home runs. But Lorenzen, Quintana, those are at least like former all-stars. They give you a floor. Feltner's not bad in the rotation. Charlie Condon, who I've seen up close and personal here in Connecticut playing in the minors, he's going to be a candidate for Rookie of the Year. If he gets called up in time, he can really hit. I think third pick in the draft from Georgia. So if the Rockies, to me, at minus 400, there's no value. I could see them being a little bit better and getting into like the mid-50s, high 50s, maybe even. And I just think Washington, I know the schedules are a little more balanced now, but that's a brutal division. The Mets, Phillies, and the Braves, all 90-plus win potential. I think Miami could be a little feisty. They flirted with a playoff spot last year and had a good second half, an underrated offense. And Washington's just awful in the bullpen. Worst bullpen ERA last year in baseball. And a starting staff that's going to make them go to the bullpen early and often. If you look at some of their starters, it's Brad Lord, Miles Michaelis. They really don't have a lot to hang their hat on. So I think Washington at plus 750 is worth taking a shot on. You look at that market. I know people have thrown out the Twins at 35-1 as a sleeper, figuring with the Pablo Lopez injury, maybe they trade off some pieces. They're a veteran team. They could be bad. I don't know that they could be bad enough to be the worst team. But to me, like the White Sox have a shorter number than the Nationals. The White Sox might actually be relatively feisty. The White Sox should not be in this conversation, in my opinion. I think they're much improved from what they were a couple years ago when they were awful. So, we saw the White Sox go from really bad, historically bad, to somewhat feisty, competitive, whatever word you want to use last year. I think if the Rockies can do that, then the Nationals are squarely in the mix here to have the worst record.
Go ahead.
No. So last 60 seconds, just really quick. Who's the best team in the American League, in your opinion?
That's a great question. I will go with Seattle just because of that starting rotation, but I love Baltimore. I've talked about Baltimore all offseason. That's another team everyone seems to like. You get Shane Baz out of the minor league ballpark, Kyle Bradish back. They might lead the league in home runs. You add Alonso and Ward to that lineup. I think Baltimore is really dangerous, really underrated, but I'll still go with Seattle just because of that pitching. Bryce Miller's been throwing 98, 99 in spring training. He was throwing 94 last year, dealt with arm injuries, shoulder injuries. He's their fifth starter. You look at their starters. If you keep them healthy, which I know is a problem with all of these pitchers, they've got pitching on top of pitching, good bullpen. I'll go with Seattle.
Seattle, 5-1, second shot on the board to win the American League this year. Will, thank you so much. Appreciate the time as always, pal.
All right. See you. Thanks for having me.
Will Hill, follow him on X at @NotTheWillHill. Also, as we mentioned earlier, Shoulda Bet More podcast, new episode out today. He had Jensen Lewis on. They were talking a lot of MLB futures, also a little bit about college basketball, the race for the 1 seeds, who's ultimately going to be filling out those final 4 spots. On that note, remember, everybody, saving money on gas is easier than ever with the free Upside app. Just download the app, check nearby offers. You earn cash back every time you fill up your gas tank. And right now, promo code SPORTS, that will get you an extra 25 cents back per gallon your first fill up. Drivers are earning $200 to $300 a year just from their normal commute. Takes seconds to use. You can cash out anytime to your bank or gift cards. Download the free Upside app today. Promo code SPORTS. Offers vary by user and location. Visit upside.com for details.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the sports betting network.
You know, sometimes life, it's a
Gives you
funny
lemons?
thing. No, I mean, it's a funny thing, right? You never know what life is going to throw at you. Certain opportunities appear, and you're like, dude, this is something that I should probably take advantage of because you never know what's going to happen. I just got a tweet.
Okay.
We just got it up at VSiN Live. You can tweet me at JVT at Storm Bonatoni. As a millionaire living my best life at the moment, I'm offering $25,000 to the first 5 people who message me. Grace, let's alleviate some financial stress together. I'm going to DM this guy.
I mean, that's not first in the comments
What do you mean?
to get money.
I'm going to DM him. I'm going to get a free $25,000. This is pretty simple,
Who is
right?
this? Who's the billionaire?
I don't know. Just
You
Dre,
don't know who this person is.
Dre GXL 16134. This
There's
seems
no
legitimate.
comments on it yet?
No, he just tweeted at us right now.
Not me.
You know, it's in the mention. It's on the Friday Money Moves show tweet.
Wow.
I'm going to DM him and see if I get $25,000.
Yeah,
Check back
see
in
what
with me in a
happens.
little
That would
bit.
be
Yeah.
great. That's a good time.
This seems real. I'm
If
going to do
only.
this.
Yeah, totally real. Just like all the totally non-bots that respond to all of those things and fake followers and all of those things. Neither here nor there.
Wow, he's sending it to everybody. This is incredible. What a generous man.
So kind. I've been keeping tabs on the Cognizant Classic leaderboard because I have a
Shane
couple
Lowry?
of Shane Lowry bets, top 20, top 10. And slow start, round 1 yesterday, but shooting 4 under so far today, all the way up to T6 right now, which is exciting. Top of the leaderboard, though, and forgive me if I pronounce this totally botched, Nico Echevarria? Does that sound right? Anyways, 8 under.
I'm just silent.
8 under for the tournament, through only 8 holes today. AJ Ewert, though, 7 under 64 for the day to catapult him all the way up to T3. Austin Smotherman, by the way, also tied with Nico Echevarria at the top.
It is a ch, not a k.
It's a cha?
Yeah.
Echevarria?
Echevarria.
Echevarria. So you got to put the on there, too. It's all
Correct.
about how you get it out there. But did you end up betting anything in this tournament?
Yes.
What'd you bet?
Shane Lowry, top 10.
You're lying.
I just put it in so I could have something here.
Did you really?
I just tailed you. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, that's fun.
I have no thoughts.
Matt Brown was on top 10 too. As we know, I do the leading questions to see how everything goes. So far, midway through day 2, looking good for our boy Shane. We'll see if he can catapult himself up there. That said, we are going to start from now through the remainder of the NBA regular season to do this beautiful segment with you on the S tiers. And I'm so excited for those of you that are on YouTube TV, the VSiN Watch app, any of our visual platforms to see what the graphical representation is of this bad boy. So why don't you present what we're doing?
Pretty easy. We did this last year on Primetime, just right. We started this last year on Primetime. It was mostly one of those hey, Matt, Tim, pay attention to the NBA. So you kind of had to get them to focus here a little bit. And the only way to do that is to put my head on a sphinx and make them pay attention. So we have our S-tier NBA playoff pyramid here. This is the start of our exercise. Simple as it sounds. These are our tiers of teams and where I rank them currently. Now, it is important to note, because they are on the same tier together, that does not mean that they are equals to one another. There is an order. Stormy, how do you read?
Left to right.
There you go. So you had to think about that for a second. So from left to right.
Well, sorry, I was looking at S tiers. I was like, is he trying to tell me top to bottom of the page?
No.
But
You read from left to right. So I apologize. We throw these up one more time. I think it's safe to say with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on his way back from injury, the Oklahoma City Thunder retained their spot as the top team, and they are in the S tier all by themselves, shockingly enough. And I did debate this heavily because coming in as the number 2 team, this team has been absolutely unreal, as we know. This winning streak for the San Antonio Spurs has now reached 11. They are 1.5 games back from the Oklahoma City Thunder. In fact, they've beat them many times this regular season, as we know. Probably, maybe, should be in the S tier, but for right now, they are the second best team and right there at the A tier. Behind them, the Cleveland Cavaliers, a team that I think is still destined to go on a mighty strong run here. Yes, did lose last time out to the Milwaukee Bucks, didn't play anybody. Second leg of a back-to-back, really brutal situation. We're going to see if James Harden's going to play through this thumb injury, but I do believe the Cleveland Cavaliers earned the title of best team in the Eastern Conference right now. After that, you get into some noise here. The Detroit Pistons are right after them. They deserve to be up there at this point right now. And I apologize here, but we're a little out of order with my S tiers, guys, and I don't really like this because I will never put the New York Knicks that high on anything in my life behind the Houston Rockets. But either way, the whole point, I think, of putting them in this B tier when you look at all these teams right here, the Rockets, the Knicks, the Celtics, the Nuggets, and the Timberwolves, teams like the Timberwolves and the Nuggets have an ability to move up. We don't know how healthy the Denver Nuggets are going to be by the time we get to the postseason. And from a betting perspective for the Timberwolves, we talked about this yesterday, and they got it done against the Clippers, but Kawhi Leonard ended up not playing yesterday, and they were still held to under 100 points. This Timberwolves team, from a power rating standpoint, is being rated like one of the best teams in the Western Conference. But they are not achieving the expectations set by the market. So you do wonder, what this team really is. Again, they are awful defensively without Rudy Gobert on the floor. How much does that hold when you get into the NBA postseason? I really still have my questions about Minnesota, but the upside is there. Anthony Edwards could be one of the best players and scorers on a floor in any given night. Rudy Gobert is a great defensive team, and they're a well-schemed team at that with their starting five out there. So you think that's going to be there. Also, our bottom, this is a perfect order here. We could do this. The 76ers, the Hornets, and then the Lakers, who just lost to the Suns yesterday. I think the 76ers, I keep saying it, and I will say it till I'm blue in the face, I kind of think they're like the fly in the ointment, man. I think there might be the stick in the spoke, if you will, for the Eastern Conference. If Joel Embiid's going to continue to play the way that he does, last night suffered a rib injury, didn't close out the game.
Is any concern about the rib?
I mean, you're always concerned. He wasn't playing in clutch time until like the last 90 seconds, 2 minutes. Then he went in, hit a big three to help them clinch the game against the Heat. But that team, if they're healthy, and keep in mind, one would assume Paul George is healthy. He's going to serve a 25-game suspension and be ready to go. So you would think he's fresh. This is a team that I think, when all is said and done, I don't know if I'd be surprised if the 76ers win a playoff series, maybe push a second-round opponent, and we find them within like a game, potentially like a Game 6 or Game 7 of making it to an Eastern Conference Finals. And then, of course, the Hornets are there, too, above the Lakers. The team's hot. You got to give them credit. What'd you say, 12-3 in the last 15 games? One of the most efficient lineups in the NBA when they're all together with their starting five. They have to be considered among some of the best when you're talking about the playoff pyramid and the way that they're playing right now.
And again, this is something that we're going to update each and every Friday moving forward that we're out here. Let's go to the top, though, of this S tier again with the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are in action today hosting Denver. 7.5-8, the spread where we sit right now. As you said, MVP favorite Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He has been cleared to come back from the ab strain after missing the last 9 games, which, by the way, from the MVP market perspective, we saw the market starting to move away. What was starting to move away from him was starting to move away from Nikola Jokic a little bit. They are still 1-2 on the board, but Shai Gilgeous-Alexander back out to minus 250 now with the news that he's coming back. He has 6 games left that he has available to miss the rest of the stretch. Jokic with 1. Cade Cunningham, who we talked about those numbers getting shrunk because of the potential for maybe winning by default down to around 5-1. He's back out to 7-1 now.
And I think rightfully so with the pricing for Shai. When I brought this up to Mitch on the podcast earlier this week, Pod of the Futures, wherever you get your podcasts, it was one of the things that I noted was maybe we're just doing this wrong and it just should be Shai at like minus 145, minus 135 when all is said and done, because he still has enough track record. He could be back soon. And sure enough, here he is. He's back. I expect that he's going to play enough games here. And if that is the case, I mean, he's got the resume. He's got the advantage in terms of games played. It might just be as simple as we're all done here. And he is your favorite. And there is still some caution in the market because maybe he'll miss some more time. That's obviously going to be part of this right now with the 65-game minimum. But he's going to play, I think, a majority, if not all of the games that he is available for when we head down the home stretch. Because remember now, too, one of the things that helps your case is the fact that they're only 1.5 games above the San Antonio Spurs for the 1 seed. So this is not like last year where you were lapping the field and you were near the end of the year and it didn't really matter for the 1 seed because you were going to run away with it. You have to keep winning if you want to be the number 1 seed in the Western Conference, and thus you're going to need all hands on deck, and Shai's probably going to play as many games as possible.
What do you think of that 7.5-point spread against Denver tonight?
I think I'd lean a little bit here toward Denver. I think the Nuggets, we saw a little bit of it in the Celtics game, but the size that they do have, even minus Aaron Gordon, I think they're going to have an advantage here tonight to be able to get it done. I think it's probably right where it should be for the most part, but I do think 7.5 seems a little high given my personal belief in the Denver Nuggets.
About 90 seconds. I know we'll hit more of these games a little bit later on. We have Zach Cohen go through some of his best bets in hour 2, but any other game you want to hit on here real quick?
Yeah, it's a short slate today, but obviously the big one is Cleveland on the road against Detroit. And what we're going to see here, the Pistons might be getting a little lucky in terms of the draw when you're talking about availability. James Harden is questionable. We know Donovan Mitchell's not going to play. And obviously Dean Wade is out too, or doubtful. So we thought this stretch for Detroit was going to be really tough. And instead, they get a shorthanded Thunder team and they get a shorthanded Cavaliers team, the two games we needed them to lose. So we'll see where the market ends up going. Harden being questionable, I think, is going to be a usual thing. Maybe give him one more night off here, but this is probably not the decider, but we keep talking about this division price. We really needed this one, and the injuries are not helping out.
Pistons, again, laying 5.5 right now, and they have been great against the rest of the top of the Eastern Conference. 10-2 in all against the Celtics, Knicks, Cavs, Raptors, and 76ers. Which, by the way, as we're talking NBA right now, college hoop season well underway as well. March Madness is going to be here before you know it. And if you're betting college basketball, now is the time to get your edge with our Hoops Mania special here at VSiN. You get VSiN Pro access through May 1st, just $29.99. All of the daily best bets, real-time bet splits from DraftKings and Circa, AI-powered prop tools, full access to every VSiN show as well on demand. And you get the March Mania betting guide as a part of it. Team breakdowns, betting trends, future strategies, all of our picks from our VSiN analysts as well ahead of the tournament. If you're planning to bet college hoops, VSiN Pro gives you the edge. Sign up now at VSiN.com/subscribe. We got to step aside here when we come back, kicking off hour 2 of the program. Our Play Ball series rolls on. We're previewing the Arizona Diamondbacks and a whole lot more coming up on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.